Today's video, we're gonna talk about how to win at PPC, even when forced to sell at MAP pricing or minimum advertised pricing. Manufacturers that sell the goods to their distributors or retailers that mandate that you have a certain minimum price that you sell it at, or you cannot sell it any lower than this floor price. So it might be 40 bucks, you can't go 39, because what they do is they have feelers software go out on the internet and see if anybody's selling it for less than $40. And if they do, potentially threaten to take away your line of product, being able to sell any more of their product. So when that happens though, there are certainly ways to make your campaign work. You just have to get a little bit more creative, given that when everybody sells at the same exact price and it's the same exact item, you're gonna have to figure out a way to differentiate yourself, because if you're just like everybody else and you're trying to run Google ads, Facebook ads, it's very hard to make money, because what happens is people don't know essentially who to go with. And then, and ultimately what happens is the money gets spread out. Now, if you're a local business, of course, you can be, your edge is you're local. If you're online, everybody else is just a click away too, you gotta have an edge. And I'm gonna give you that edge on this particular video using the secret weapon. That is secret pricing through a secret weapon that you can be able to still have a massive edge on your competition every single time, okay? So I will go through what this method is. And then, of course, if you stay to the end of the video, I will give you a case study or two or three on how we use this method for them and how well it worked for them as well. So make sure you stay all the way through for that. Okay, so getting into the content here, essentially what you're going to do when you sell product, branded product with MAP pricing on it, what you're gonna do is you're gonna sell it to the people who are already ready to buy. Okay, so that's key. If you sell mobility scooters for people that are too old to walk or too fat to walk, essentially, which no offense to anybody here, they're doing that, using these products, but this is a market where we've worked in before. And essentially you could target people looking for mobility scooters on Google with your advertising, right? Or, you know, in addition to that, Facebook, other places you can advertise too. But the problem with this is you advertise and educate them why they should buy a mobility scooter, what's good, what's bad, what's not, whatever. And then basically before they buy, particularly when it's because it's a more expensive item, but not only because it's expensive, what do? They start going around, oh, I wonder if I can get it cheaper somewhere else. They just Google that product name again, and then they find somebody who maybe not is cheaper, but they forgot about your site by then. And then they get the sale. Somebody else ends up getting the sale instead of you, ultimately, and you lose out. You paid to educate the consumer, and then somebody else gets the sale. It's similar to how I remember, of course, growing up, I worked at Radio Shack for a period of time when I was like 16 years old. And the owner there would always complain that people would come in, ask questions about our stereo equipment, whatever, and then they would go to Walmart and buy. This is how people are. So in order to get them to buy your business, you gotta have a strategy for this. Your strategy you're gonna use in this case is what I'm giving you here today. But with that said, you are gonna advertise to people only ready to purchase. You're not gonna advertise, in other words, like with the mobility scooters, targeting people looking for mobility scooters. You're gonna target people looking for certain models of mobility scooters by name, specifically brand name and then model number, like that. And only that, and until you've tackled that, you have no business going outside that general pocket targeted products. And ultimately, you need to have unique ads for each product that you're selling, because that's the only way to do it right. Okay, if you really want it to work, this is what you gotta do. And yes, it's a ton of work to do, but you also need an edge, and you're not gonna make money the other way very easily at all, if at all. So what you do is you target each product individually. So if you're selling bracelets and the name of the bracelet designer is XJR12, you wanna target the keyword XJR12 bracelet, right? You're gonna have a search ad that says something like, which I just recommend the simple go-to formula. What I'm gonna do for clients here is buy XJ12 bracelet for sale, in stock, ready to ship. It leaves no questions for the user. They click on that ad, which by the way, should have a picture of that bracelet next to the ad, which if you're using dynamic image assets, which you can look up how to do that, that'll do that for you. Or you could do a manual image asset there, which essentially, gets rid of any potential doubt that if they click through this ad, they're going to get what they came to Google for in the first place. Then when they click that ad, they're going to be sent to that exact product, not where you're sending them to a category page or a home page or anything like that. If you want to make money, this is the way you got to do it. That product page you're taking them to has a phone number at the top right and the bottom of the page as well as in the middle of the page, I would recommend as well. So any place they look for it, they're going to see it. And the goal is, of course, to get them to call, because if you can get them to call, you can actually lock that sale down and they've stopped what they were doing, which is searching around a bunch of places to see which place has the cheapest price, and just look around in general. Okay? With that said, on this landing page at the very bottom of the screen or the very top using a Hello Bar type software, which you can search what that looks like, Hello Bar, you're going to have something on there that says, call for our July promo or call for our August promo. This is going to update once a month. And this is going to encourage people to call you itself. Your goal is to get them to call you, even if you just sell a bracelet, okay? Now, if you sell mobility scooters or refrigerators or copiers, it's not going to be that hard to get them to call, particularly because they already want to talk to somebody about this. And most places, you call your competitors, they're not going to get a highly educated person that can answer technical questions about this product. So that is your edge. That is offering that personal level advice, given that if they just go to Amazon, they can get it probably the same price with more surety that they'll get it, that their order won't get screwed up. So why wouldn't they just go with them? Your edge is your sales support, if you will. But the message, call for our July promo, which you could have near the top of the product page as well. We've done it a few different ways, but with that said, that gets them to call so that you can build rapport with the user. And you're just, when they call, trying to build enough rapport with them that they just buy with you. You stay on the phone with them long enough, they'll just buy with you. Ultimately, as long of conversation with them as possible. And at the end of the conversation, you say, before you're gonna go, Mark, or Sally, or Jane, I will give you an extra 5% off your order if you put it through right now. I'll give you a discount code you can put through on your cart. It'll last for 60 minutes. It'll only last for 60 minutes. So if you buy it later, that's fine. I understand. But if you want to buy it, you get an extra 5% off right now. That will lock down your sale a high percentage of the time. We're talking more than 25% of the time they're going to just buy. That is your funnel. You're creating, even though it's an e-commerce site, which presumably doesn't have a funnel, you create one, and that is your funnel. So you start with targeting people who are already ready to buy almost. You get them to the site. You tell them that you have a special promo going for July, but you have to call to get it. You talk to them to build a rapport, and then you tell them that you're going to give them, the promo is 5% off, but it only lasts for the next individualized basis. And I like you, so we'll give you this promo. And here's the code, but it only lasts for 60 minutes. You got to use it now. Boom, you got your sale. Now, for the people who hit your product page, who do not buy within the next 60 minutes, whether they didn't call or they called and they just didn't take advantage of it, then you're going to have a customized remarketing sequence that is going to kick off for that person. And so they're going to start seeing a banner ads across the web on sites that they visit. Any website that they visit is going to have your ads on it technically. But your ad is going to basically say, it's going to first of all show the product they were looking at. So you're going to have a custom banner ad set for every product that you sell. And if you have too many products, like you have thousands of products, well, at that point in time, you can do dynamic remarketing to kind of which is the best approach in that situation, or just do the top 100 items that get the most traffic on your site, which probably get 60-70% of the traffic on your site. So why not just do that? But each ad is going to show the product that we're looking at, or category, at the very least, the category of product that we're looking at, or a certain brand. And it's going to say, call for July special, or call for August special, right? So the ad is going to remind them what they were looking at and then say, call for July special. The person's just going to think, okay, I was going to buy this item. They have a special. I might as well call them. So if they didn't notice that the July special was going on when they got to the site initially, you keep repeating it to them via your remarketing ads until they finally come back to the site and call. And then you can create your phone call rapport with them and then your customized discount code that lasts for 60 minutes. That right there is your foundational strategy for your business selling branded items with MAP pricing. Right there, this is worth millions of dollars right here. I could start a business today selling anything that's branded and make money with it on Google Ads because nobody is really doing this strategy, for one. Two, the people that are trying to sell, most of them can't answer the phone and answer technical questions. They're going to have either no phone number, or when you call, some bonehead's going to answer the phone. They don't know anything, or they don't have any sales skills, or both. Furthermore, even if they do have a phone number on their site, very few people will call because they don't have anything on there that pushes them to call, okay? But then more important than all of that is the fact that they're not going to be targeting the products by product name. So if somebody looks for exact model number or even a part number, if you're in a business that sells parts, like replacement parts, they're not going to be targeting on the individual item or part number level and telling the user in your ads that we sell this exact product / part number and drilling everything down to that so that we're the only ones with an ad that says that exact product name in it or part number in it. So our ad gets higher click-through rates than them and higher conversion rates than them because we're going to get a more qualified traffic stream to the site on top of it, let alone higher quality scores, which drop our cost per click, and a bunch of other things that makes us more money. So that's your overall formula. Before I get into the case studies here, I want to just take a minute and hear it and say, if you like the content so far and you want to make a lot of money with Google ads, Facebook ads, and so forth, you should subscribe to this channel because I have all the information that you need to be able to do that, because I spend 40 hours a week doing ad strategy and figuring out what works for you, spend my weekend sharing it, so you have this for yourself. And there's nobody else, as far as I know, doing this. They're either a full-time YouTuber or they manage ads, not both. So you should subscribe and do yourself a big favor. All the information you need to make money is here. Furthermore, you should check out my blog on my site at guaranteedppc.com/blog. I have a step-by-step instructions on how to actually use the strategies that work to make money with ads that are provable and repeatable that we use for our clients to guarantee the results. If you like the channel, you're going to like the blog as well. If you have any questions about anything I'm covering here or any marketing related question, you can always leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a question or comment on this channel, usually within 24 hours time. So with that said, getting into the case studies, as I mentioned or promised that I would get into here. So now that you know the formula of how this makes money, I'm going to give you a few markets where we did make a great deal of money so you understand just how well this will work for yourself. Starting with air conditioning units. If you wanted to make good money in a localized market, given these things are too heavy to ship very far distances, you could go link up with 2 or 3 manufacturers of air conditioning units, assuming there's not heavy competition in your local area already, and ultimately, buy one of each SKU, one that's 4 tons, get yourself 10 or 20 units, a shed, and set up your website to sell these items locally within a certain radius of where you're at, and just target those actual items by the actual brand name and the model name. Because when people start looking around to buy one, they're going to do all the research, and then at the last minute, like I was saying earlier, they're going to search for that exact unit and the prices to find the cheapest one. Okay? Then all you got to do is just get them to call. Like I said, that is the goal. Here, get them to call. When they get to the site and they see you're running a July special, they're going to want to call because it's an expensive item. They know there's no difference between the one that you're selling and 20 other guys are selling. And they're going to call because they're curious. You're just piquing their curiosity with your so-called promotion or special, if you will. So with that said, how much money can you make doing this in a localized market? Well, I could tell you for a fact, our ROAS or ROI on our campaign that we were running in a certain geographic market locally, which I'm not going to be able to tell you the market exactly here, was over 1,000% doing that exact business model and in this particular niche. Yes, it's obviously going to take some time and money to get yourself the accounts established with these other sellers, but anybody could set up a business like this as long as they set up ads that just target the exact equipment that they have in stock. And for that matter, if you were starting with super low amounts of money, you literally could go with one brand, buy 3 machines, and then just market those 3 machines. So for 10 grand worth of equipment, you're in business already. And then the ads, because they're so targeted, it will pretty much make you're for sure going to make money within the first 90 days after expenses. Maybe even within the first 30 days after expenses. That is after paying for the equipment and the ad spend here. In our case, it wasn't 30 days, but it was under 90 days. We were profitable already. Marketing, and for that matter, in that situation, we didn't market all the equipment right away. We marketed just the machines under a certain brand, and that was it. If you want to make money sooner, you're going to market just a couple machines, make that money, expand it to marketing a few more machines, and so forth. With that said, 3-month profitability and over 1,000% return on investment, return on our ad spend shortly after that. Home generators is another one that's similar to the air conditioning units that people are going to go online to search for. You can buy a unit, you can have a contractor come in, specializes in generator installation and just have them sell it to you. Or you could have somebody come in, tell you what you need. And then these people will go online and they'll say, hey, look, they're saying that they're going to buy this piece of this generator. Why don't we just go online and buy our own and then just have the installer install it instead of buying it from them? Which that really pisses off the installers, of course. It's like going to an auto mechanic and they're saying, this is how much everything is. And, you basically say, well, I'll go online and buy a transmission myself, because they're going to mark up the cost of the parts in order to make money. So, and for that matter, the installer may not want to do it, but once you got all that information, the reality is the reality. Once they got that information, they could just go buy the unit and pay a local electrician to install it instead of the generator installer company, and be paying, 2/3 to a half of what the really high-end generator installation company would charge. Or they're looking to replace the generator, and instead of going through the supplier that they went through before, they just buy the replacement unit and they're just going to install it themselves. Well, anyway, with that said, we got an insane return on these ads that we were running for specific units, specific generators, people looking to replace and or cut out the so-called middleman like I was talking about before. Not 1,500% return, but 1,250% return in this particular instance. Running our campaign locally inside one city, not a large area like with the air conditioning installation, but just within the one city itself that the client was in, selling them there by itself. But it was a big metropolitan area like LA itself, just marketing them there inside LA, and that's it. And then they literally would just locally take a truck, deliver them itself. But, we're talking about a 7% marketing cost on an item where, their margin is 20-30% on those items. So a ridiculously good return on investment, given that the overhead of that business is not high. You just got to store the generators until they're ready to be bought, and then you drive them there, user's location. So, but that took a longer period of time to get to where it was that profitable, more like 6 months. But before it was, we were already at 700% roll res or right in there within 90 days. So just took a little kind of time for it to kind of like, we get a really, really good return, if you will. And for that matter, that's kind of the case when you're talking about Google Ads in general, because you are going to import the sales revenue into your ad account. And the ad account's going to take the data and then run with it, if you will. So they'll figure out the percentage of the people that are searching now that are profitable versus not profitable, then reallocate your budget. You need data in order to get the return. That's why it takes so long, per se. But that's another great market you could technically get into. We sold golf clubs with minimum advertised pricing. In this particular instance, if you will, this was a local, what they call pro shop that sells golf equipment, but they sold online too. So all we did in this particular instance was just sell the product that they had in store online on a product level, like I was talking about up here. And that's all it took, essentially. The return on investment that we got, over 1,000% again. Really, people looking for a driver, a box of high-end golf balls. We did those as well. Return wasn't quite as good as on those. Golf simulators, also we sold those. Anyway, with that said, it really is pretty simple. You're just selling. Here's a good analogy of how this basically works. If you had to market to people who were looking for a furniture store, but they were not able to enter the furniture store, what do you think, how well you would be able to sell them if all you could do was talk to them initially, and you're paying for a person that is outside the store versus somebody who picked something up on the rack, looked at it, liked it, and then you could sell to that person. That's the difference between going after people looking for furniture stores and a certain make and model of designer furniture that they've already done research on, and now they're at the last second deciding who to buy from. So anyway, it's pretty obvious when you look at it like that. It's just, most people aren't going to tell you to do what I'm telling you to do. They're going to say, do the easy thing. It's easy. And that's what Google says to do. But Google wants you to waste your money, and everybody regurgitates what they say, because how can you get blamed for doing what Google tells you to do? And I'm the only one over here telling people to set up unique ads for all your products, because this is what the user wants you to do. And ultimately, Google is a liar anyway, because Google wants you to do what the user wants you to do. Because people are so bad at advertising, Google tells you to let the algorithm run your ads and take over everything. And then in that case, they'll do better than your dog crap setup that you have in your ad account. But if you actually spend the time to do like what I'm talking about here, you're very methodical with what you're doing, Google would want you to actually they would support what you're doing. Because at the end of the day, they just want people to use Google, and they want people to click on ads. And so that they'll come back and click on ads again and again and again. So you help the user make a decision easier by just showing up at when they're looking for something and giving them exactly what they want. And then also providing extra phone sales that the other guys aren't providing. You're doing better than the competition. They want to give all the business to you at that point in time. If you want somebody to set this up for you because it's too hard, of course, this is what we do for clients that are agency. We don't charge you any fees until we can get you a certain minimum lift in your sales, by the way, as well. That's why we're called Guaranteed PPC. If you want to talk to me about that and get some estimates or projections on what that could do for your sales with the strategies I know of and would execute for you here, in addition to what I talked about here, reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com. I also have ad templates available. If we're already in a niche market or been in a niche market that you've been in already, we can not only tell you what results you could get, given that we've been in it already, but you can use the winning ads, landing pages, campaigns, all of it that work for your niche market, and you can copy paste that into your ad account and get the same results we have. We've been in over 100 different niche markets, so the chances are quite high. We've already got the results you're looking for and can use those templates for yourself. I also do coaching and consulting on the side. If you want to get a quick question answered on a private phone conversation, you can also reach out to me at our firm as well, and I'll be able to certainly do that and go over anything you're planning on doing, just let you know if is it likely to work or is there ways to improve it, that kind of thing. Anyway, with that said, this model right here, the people that do drop shipping are in the know. People that are regular retailers don't do this because they don't ultimately need their ads to pay off so quickly because they got revenue coming from other sources. But people that need to make their ads work right away, they work this model because they have to. This is the only way that gets it to work right away, practically speaking. There's no other system I would recommend starting out with. Trying to market branded items with MAP pricing, this is the way you have to go, if you will. Ultimately, if you're looking to work with and ask questions with other ad experts that are working on the strategies I talk about on this channel, you can do that in our Discord group that I set up just exclusively for this purpose. You can find the link to the Discord group in the video description. I'm in the Discord group answering questions. There's a lot of guys in there talking about stuff that works, how it's working for them, and you can ask questions there. I've got a free PPC course in there for you to be able to use, and just as a way of saying thank you for joining and getting in the group itself. Also, I'm looking for companies to invest in. If you have a great company that has a great product or service, but you just really don't have the best advertising, I'm interested in investing in your company. In that, I will invest tens of thousands of dollars of ad spend, also our agency's resources to get you massive results on your with your advertising to get you a massive amount of sales for your company and growing your sales 5, 10, 20x what they are right now in going into the future. What we do is we partner with you directly. We become partial owners of your company in exchange and take a percentage of your sales growth moving forward, even though you may only be making half of the increase in profit in your company moving forward. We're going to grow you 5 times as fast as what you normally would otherwise. So, at the end of the day, you're getting a smaller piece of the pie, but it's a gigantic pie now because we're going to throw everything in the kitchen sink at your marketing and advertising to get your sales to grow. We've done this with several companies thus far, which I can give you direct names of those companies that are doing very well and we partnered with as such. If you're interested in this, you can also reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com. With that said, I'm going to wrap everything up with that. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. If you want to see another video, click here. It is one of my best ones.